making that decision is not taking his decision making away, but I am the person in that relationship that knew more in that subject and had a resource that I could lean on.
Your relationship
Meanwhile,
has structure.
that proved to be a very good decision because I'm sitting in six figures in equity because I made a smart
Six figures
decision.
in equity alone. Just to give you a story, Lady Di, because I know you got hung up a little bit. I
My connection went out. I don't know what happened.
I took my nephew in a couple years ago because he was in danger of going into the foster home because my sister was on drugs and stuff like that, and she didn't want to take care of him. And my grandmother was getting old; she couldn't raise him, and she had ended up passing away. So I had to go and go to court and take him. Uh, he made it on a basketball team out here, but there was a case where his uniform was dirty, and my wife kept telling him, "Hey, put your uniform in a basket because you have a game tomorrow, and we don't want you wearing the same uniform that you had sweated out and stinks." And my wife got irritated that he didn't get off the video game and get his uniform, and she kept saying, "Why is he not getting?" I said, "Don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it." And I caught my wife going up the stairs to go get his uniform because she got fed up. Sometimes she just fed up, like, fuck it, I'll just do it. And I told her, no, don't do that. He needs to, this is an example of what I was trying to convey, that no, he needs to fail. He needs to learn. That's how boys become men. They need to fail. You need to let them fail. So I told her, you need to let him learn. Uh, Tomorrow he's going to show up at the game. He's going to recognize that you didn't do what you have a habit of doing, and grabbing his clothes and going to wash them and make sure they clean. He showed up to the game stinking, and the coach did not let him play the entire game. He told him he wasn't going to dress out because it's uh, unacceptable to be smelling like that. And he learned a lesson that day that, hey, now you're going to get off your ass, activate, and go wash and put your clothes. The audacity, you don't even have to wash them. You just got to put them downstairs in a basket. But that simple lesson right there, learn him the importance of allowing this young boy to fail, gave him a lesson that is valuable for his future decisions or future interactions. And it's also it overlaps into relationships too. And this is what I was trying to get Boheme to understand. She had a man that she was married to. He had an opportunity to showcase masculinity or fail and learn and then come back and do it again. But that opportunity was taken away from him because she stepped up instead of resting in her femininity. What
And
I wanted to happen, and this is my opinion, and there's no right or wrong answer. This is just my own perspective. What I wanted to happen is her father, who was sick and tired of them holding his condo hostage, to come down there and say, you know what, the hell with this. Where the fuck is your husband at? Let me
right.
talk to that motherfucker. I guarantee you that is the lesson that he needed at that point in his life. He probably never had that when he was a young man. And that opportunity was also taken away from him because another man coming in there and that's why us young boys need other men in our lives, because we help each other activate. It can be an elder, it can be a big brother, it can be a father, whatever. That her dad would have came in and said, you need to get your ass off. And you got my daughter, or I think it was your granddad or whatever. You got my granddaughter sitting up in here and you ain't move your ass. You need to get your lazy ass off, and don't let them be from the country. Get the molasses out your ass and do something and go find a house, or I'm gonna kick your ass out on the streets. Sometimes that is what a man needs. And you know what? Because we're raised with so many single parent households and single mothers, we don't get that. We don't get that. Our mothers coddle us. So we end up having to learn the hard way when we get out of the house. So these are the experiences we need. Young boys need to go out here and fail so they can learn. And we need to fail as young as possible. Because when we fail later as adults, the situations we get in can be irreparable. And that's just my whole point I was just trying to make.
Yeah, I was gonna say sometimes even in a marriage, letting your husband fail or whatever that looks like, depending on the situation, can be necessary because he knows he has to hold the family a certain way. So when the man fails, he's going to be like, "Oh, I didn't like the way how this landed. What am I going to do to make this better? What am I going to do to make sure that this doesn't happen again?" And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that your marriage is done. I mean, because he made a bad decision over a house, I wouldn't say that. That's two separate things. He has to figure that out with the house and then make sure you guys are good. It's like two different things. Like the way how he loves you and the way how he wasn't, I don't know the whole situation, but the way how he wasn't moving fast enough and stuff, that's separate. I think we should kind of put those in two different corners. But that was my answer.
And it's not wrong that a woman is not naturally supposed to know this. This is what men are supposed to be there for. So women say they don't need men in their life. These are cases and a little bit of context on understanding why men are supposed to be in a kid's life, helping you raise the kid. There's things that you're supposed to be there for the kid that we really can't instill in the kid. It's everybody has a role in it. And we're just simply trying to convey that which is being eliminated from the norm these days. And there's only so many people out here that's trying to hold the line to keep it together.
So Lady Di, really quick, it wasn't that in her story that he wasn't moving fast enough, is that they were on a time crunch. It wasn't about him moving fast enough. He was dragging his feet to the point they were running out of time. And had nothing been done, they would be on the streets.
But you said it's a month left. I know when you buy and sell a house, you could buy and sell a house the last day. So I'm trying to understand what you mean.
No, the grandfather put them on a time constraint. He said y'all had to be gone by this time. So they were on a time constraint that if they did not do something, they were going to be on the streets. And he was not doing, and during the entire process of them supposed to be buying a house, he wasn't involved in the process. He chose not to be involved in the process.
So you telling me that the husband was willing to be on the street? You think he would have took it there?
2 weeks to figure that out, and they never figured it out.
No, I'm asking.
To go to the street.
Sweeney or Bo, you telling me that your ex-husband, right? He will be willing to go on the street if you didn't do nothing.
They don't know that.
That's what I'm saying. When we talking about stuff like this, we got to make sure we thinking about what the man is thinking about. You really think that the man wants to be on the street? I don't. No. I would highly doubt that.
Maybe he didn't take the like. So the thing is that it's all like he doesn't have to believe that they're going to be on the street, right? He could believe that it won't get that bad. He can believe that they might have more time than they actually have. We don't know what his reasoning behind his him dragging his feet was. The problem is that he was dragging his feet while they were on a time crunch, and if nobody pulled the trigger, they would have been on the street. So she would have basically
he also don't know if he had a plan.
Can I finish the statement? Damn.
Go ahead.
No, man, y'all got it, man.
Well, no,
but you also don't know. You also don't know if he didn't. You also don't know if he didn't have a plan. He could have waited a week, another week. We don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Like we can't go back and you should have said this, should have did that. We can't do that. But for him to be silent, cool. Be silent for however long it takes you to understand what's happening. Sometimes people got to process things. They got to research. We don't know what the man is doing. But it never came to a conversation where we're like, hey, yo, knock, knock. Like, what are we going to do? These are facts, right? I'm just,
I'm just saying, because we're talking about, she's the only
time. I'm just saying. Right,
the only one who can
actually. It's done now.
No, I'm just saying, we're speaking specifically on the situation. So if we really want to know what his thought process was, she's right there to tell us what happened in their situation.
She already said that.
But you got to take what Boheem says as
he said it.
I'm not going to disrespect her or discount her position, but I will say, based off of the conversation we had earlier, when she didn't properly or accurately articulate compliance and non-compliance earlier, just off the strength of that, I can deduce from that perhaps maybe her ex-husband had a different story that will give us a different light. My fear is that leaning only on her side based off how she showcased her response to the police situation, that is probably not conducive to lean on Bohem's position on that. With all due respect.
I'm okay with that. But see, here's my point. This is the very situation that I am always talking about. It showcases the very thing that I always talk about. Two people in a relationship. One person is not the end all be all to decision making because one person does not know everything. Your partner needs to have their own strengths. Your partner needs to have their own knowledge of things, and things that they can make decisions about. And so I had been taught by my grandfather, who was in real estate for my whole life. And before that, he always taught me about the market, how to watch it, how to pick a house. Never buy a house that you can't make money off of. There are certain things that I knew that he probably did not know. And I think that he was uncomfortable about making that decision because maybe he wasn't, in hindsight, maybe he wasn't comfortable with being a homeowner just yet. And I completely understand that now. But the decision just had to be made. And because my strength was in that area, and I also had someone to lean on that was an expert in that field, I made that decision because I knew that I was making a good decision.
But that's where you're wrong.
Wait.
Making that decision, making that decision is not taking his decision making away, but I am the person in that relationship that knew more in that subject and had a resource that I could lean on.
No relationship has structure.
That proved to be a very good decision because I'm sitting in 6 figures in equity because I made a smart decision.
6 figures in equity alone. But you didn't compensate for the fact that whenever whoever taught you how to be in a relationship based off the selection, you married a devout Christian and you're talking about partnership and team decision.
I don't care.
I get it. I get it. You don't care, but can't you see how you put a square peg in a round hole?
That I want because I have strengths and I can also make decisions.
I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying the situation you got yourself into was not aligned. The values were not aligned. So when somebody told you that that raised you up to be a partner and make team decisions and equal decisions, they failed you at the selection point when you chose a devout Christian, because that is not how a man as a devout Christian don't operate like that. He don't deal with no partnership and no woman making no decisions. I'm sorry to bust your bubble, but whoever praised you for that failed you they raised you good because you should have selected the other guy, but you selected a devout Christian. That's where you failed at.